All right, guys, welcome back. So we're gonna be going over entry models. We only got two main entry models, and these two are only for the confirmation approach, right? So approach number two, right? This is still only for approach number two. Approach number one does not have models. That's a direct entry. This is confirmation entry approach number two, okay? So the two models that we have is we got a POI right here. Let me put it up here. POI up here. All right. And then you're gonna get a Quasimodo, run liquidity, break structure. Okay. Price is going to retrace and then break structure once again. And then it's gonna take out that high. It's gonna come into a point of interest in here. And then price will continue down. Take out that low, right? Now, what is this? Now, this model normally happens when there's no internal liquidity here, right? When there's no internal liquidity or obvious liquidity there, this is what you get. All right, not always, but most of the time. And even if there's internal liquidity, this still happens. But I've seen it happen when there's rarely any liquidity here. They build the inducement. This is the inducement right there. So price breaks structure, retraces, breaks structure once again, we short above that. All right, and vice versa for the buy scenario, same thing. Okay. Now let's dive into the logic here. So imagine if you were only trading structure, then you would see this as your new high and your low. You would look for a short here to the downside. So there's a lot of liquidity sitting right here, just above that. And not only that, trend line, anticipation of a trend line. So you are literally shorting where liquidity is at, so you become the liquidity. So what we're going to do, we're going to short above that. Just like that, right? This is model one. Model one. All right, now let's go into model two. All right, model two would be liquidity and break structure, right? This low right here is going to go up, and then its high is going to fail to take out this low right here. And if that high fails, as we know, failure swing, weak high, it's going to get taken. And that becomes inducement. Okay. And then comes to the POI. Then we drop down. What does it form in the bottom? Trend line liquidity equal lows, right? And then what do we see on the top? Same thing, right? Do not short or buy into liquidity, right? Don't be the liquidity. Do the opposite. And then price, right below, right? Now, like I said, this one, I've seen it happen quite a few times when there's either no internal liquidity or rarely any internal liquidity, right? And by rare, I mean like obvious, like you can obviously see the liquidity, like those highs right there, right? That's probably what I mean by obvious. This happens because it needs to build liquidity. It has to build it up. So it has to induce people in order, for it to give it a reason to come up here. This one normally has liquidity, has internal liquidity inside. So it'll make the inducement and have the internal liquidity right in there. So it would most likely have both. which obviously it will have the basic liquidity, which is the equal highs, the trend liquidity, all of that in here inside, right? Here we're just talking in the bigger picture, which is the swing points. Of course, it's going to be equal highs in here and all that stuff, right? But this are the models. That's model 1 and that's model 2. All right, it's very important to keep these two in mind so you won't be surprised. All right, model 1, I am going to tell you right now, it's going to be a little bit harder to see, right? Because it could get confusion at points sometimes. So model 2, it will be pretty straightforward to see because it'll be quite obvious. But this is model 1 and this is model 2, right? So now let's go and do this. So we have a strong high, we have a retracement, then we have a failure swing, so that becomes liquidity, right? But now let's also add the internal liquidity to this. So there we go. Price goes up. Let's say it takes out internal liquidity, simply price to drop lower, and then that fails. Goes back up one more time, then it drops. All right. This is going into the detail. You see that? Internal liquidity with the inducement included. All right. Now these are model 1 and model 2. All right. And these are what I call sub-models. Now I'm not going to create so many sub-models because there's so many scenarios that happen. So I'm not going to just create them, but by sub-model, I'm talking about the small little detail inside of the bigger picture. So that would be my sub-model, right? Like that's a model. All right. This is the main one. This is the main picture. Of course, you break it down to details, you will see the internal liquidity and this to happen. But this is what I mean for that one. All right. And then for this one, right here, it would be, let's say we only have like one little peak right there. It'll retrace, pull back down. You see, and then start creating liquidity, most likely. Break structure. Then go to the upside and takes this out. Right? Then becomes inducement. We got internal liquidity. It gave it a reason to go up. Then it drops. Right? And this could also be something like this. Equal highs. Taken like that. It created a reason for price to go higher. So I hope by now you're starting to understand these models, all right? Right, these are the small details. So that's for that. An example, there's a submodel, and then we just went over that one already. That will be the submodel for that one. All right. But these two are the main models right there. That's what you will look for when price comes to a POI. Simple as that. And to put it on short terms, looking for a Quasimodo. That's it. Okay. This is more detailed. And then we had the submodels, which was even way more detailed. Right. Okay. So these are it. Two models. Model 1, Model 2, nothing else to it. So on the next video, we're going to go over targets and exits and where to take partials. So see you guys on the next one. And like always, any questions, let me know.